Mercury retrograde is once again upon us as Mercury stations retrograde March 15th at 9 degrees 35 minutes of Aries. Mercury travels back to 26 degrees 50 minutes of Pisces until April 7th. And this particular Mercury retrograde is more dynamic and is interacting with multiple planets and points, signifying that more changes are happening, and they're happening quickly in ways that we don't fully understand right away. Mercury is going to interact with Venus and the Sun in Aries. Mercury will also have conjunctions to the North Node in Pisces and Neptune in Pisces. Plus, there will be a few sextiles to Pluto in Aquarius. So here we have Mercury, the messenger planet, the smallest and fastest moving planet in our solar system, having some much bigger conversations with the outer planets. This means that we are meant to be thinking about the bigger picture, opening up any limitations or any preconceived expectations or assumptions, to know that it's okay to not have the answers yet. In fact, we won't. We won't understand everything right away. We won't have all the facts or all the specifics. And there's going to be a need to focus on, well, how can I think about things in a way that supports what I want, who I am, and what I'm creating in this new cycle? Now, as Mercury is retrograde in Aries, this slows down the mercurial need to move quickly, have fast answers, get it done, charge ahead. That Aries energy is often about speed, enthusiasm, excitement, what is motivating you. And when Mercury is retrograde here, you could be realizing that the things that used to work before no longer speak to you. You're searching for new ways of understanding what's going on or what's in front of you. And there's a desire to sit with it, to think it through, retract it into your own personal experiences and determine, does this align? Is this true for me? Does this support me? Mercury retrograde in Aries means you also have to slow down what you say or communicate. This is biting your tongue, not speaking too fast, understanding that whatever you do hold back is probably wise, and to work with any impatience that can come up. Because that Mercury in Aries typically wants to move fast, answer all the questions right away, and move on to the next thing, this is a time to pace yourself and to calm down any parts of your adrenaline, any strong feelings, even the inspirations or enthusiasm you have, to temper it consciously, knowing you're not going to miss anything. You're not going to miss anything that's essential and that's really for you. This can also help with accidents, to avoid accidents, or to have to correct a bunch of things that you'd rather not focus on or have to take care of. So slowing down when Mercury is retrograde in Aries is really important to prevent any of those mishaps, errors, accidents, etc. Then as Mercury re-enters Pisces, Mercury is having some conversations with the universe here, as there will be a conjunction to Neptune at 29 degrees of Pisces. This happens on March 29th, and this conjunction happens right before Neptune moves into Aries. This is a final message, final download, some big higher understandings that Mercury is meant to listen and receive. And there could be a sense of, I'm open to trusting. I'm okay in this void of not knowing what happens next. And then Mercury goes back to make a conjunction to the North Node in Pisces that also brings in a sense of, I can handle this, even if I don't have all the information, all the messages, all the understanding that I would prefer. Mercury can be very creative here in Pisces. And as Mercury connects to both Neptune and the North Node in Pisces, I feel like we are expanding our multidimensional senses to receive messages from other realms, other energy fields, and other frequencies that we wouldn't normally access. And there can be a lot of messages, not only through the dream state, but just coming out of the blue that you're not sure what to do with. You're like, well, okay, how am I supposed to work with this? Where do I put this? Where do I file this away? And this is a time of our human senses feeling safe in not knowing that for the long term, you can trust yourself. You can trust your next steps. You can trust yourself to figure it out as situations present themselves. I also feel that with this Mercury retrograde in Pisces, it could be that you're feeling like, how do I explain it? Parts of our typical linear processing are going offline so that we can allow more of our intuitive, energetic messages to be trusted. And so you could feel that you're guided to do something you wouldn't normally do. That you should try something or move in a direction that maybe seems really uncertain or crazy, but there's energy there whispering to you quite loudly that this is the option, this is the path, and to stay open to it, to stay curious. With this particular Mercury retrograde in Aries and Pisces, there's a sense here of greater inconsistency and confusion, and how we can temper that and be okay not knowing. But also what fears come up that we're meant to work through and address. Mercury retrograde is also happening during eclipse season. As right before Mercury stations retrograde, we have the Virgo lunar eclipse on March 13th and 14th. And we also have this Aries solar eclipse on March 29th. And then Neptune enters Aries. There are certain parts of our internal dialogue and our personal narratives that we're not meant to take into the next cycle. There are parts of our ways of processing the world or understanding things that we're meant to set free and let go of, and call in new ways of supporting ourselves and working with our energy that's more self-empowered, that comes from a stronger, healed place, that honors what you've been through, but also welcomes the new next version of yourself that is being presented, especially throughout a very big Aries season. And so this Mercury retrograde is removing what no longer mentally serves you, the narratives that are outdated. And you'll probably feel it. It's interesting because I'm getting the visual that you'll know that it's outdated because you'll just feel heavy. And it just sinks your energy, and you'll feel that it takes you back to a previous version of yourself that you've either outgrown or you are outgrowing. And then the Mercury in Aries is where you're preparing space for more of this new essence of yourself to arrive, this next version of your self-identity and your personal consciousness. So I feel that this could also be a Mercury retrograde that brings up situations you need to review it very consciously and intentionally, taking responsibility for self, taking responsibility for what you are not allowing or not wanting going forward. So we've got a big Mercury retrograde here, and I will be discussing more of the specifics in one of my Monday podcast episodes. So please tune in as I'll go through the dates of these transits and talk about more of these themes too individually. But I hope this gives you a nice heads up about this Mercury retrograde as it travels, again, 9 degrees, 35 minutes of Aries, back to 26 degrees, 50 minutes of Pisces in your chart, working with outer planets, signifying that there is much more soul growth happening and that the evolutionary journey is very real right now. So thank you for joining me as always, and be sure to check out my playlists here on YouTube because I have a ton of videos for you that I hope help you in piecing together more of your chart and understanding more of the specifics of your astrology chart. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll be back here soon.